Good evening and welcome to CellarPass TV Live. This Thursday night, we are so happy to have you here. We have Acumen wines. We have got the Chocolatier that rivals Willy Wonka, Phillip Ashley out of Memphis, and of course, as always, Christopher Sawyer, sommelier. Well, let's get sipping and start talking about chocolate. Hey guys.
Yes.
Hey.
Welcome. Cheers. Ding,
Cheers.
ding, 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 ding.
Cheers. Thank you.
So awesome to have you here. And Diana, you've been a CellarPass TVer before, so most of our audience probably knows who you are. I do want to remind the audience at home, please chime in. If you're watching us on YouTube, post questions. We're happy to answer them. Facebook Live as well. And sometimes, technology things happen. So if, one or the other kind of stutters out, you can always go to Facebook or YouTube and catch it there. But we want to hear your comments. That's what makes it so much fun. Anyway, sorry, I had to get that out of the way. Oh, Diana, so thank you. You have got us two amazing Cabernets tonight. I mean, these are like off the charts, 100-pointers. And then, Phillip Ashley's, 1,000-point chocolate to go along with it.
Yes.
So we are very excited to get into this. So tell us a little bit about Acumen and what the meaning is behind the name.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for having Acumen as part of the CellarPass TV show. It's always great to work with friends and bring new friends along. And just a little bit about Acumen. We're in the Atlas Peak AVA. We've got 116 acres on top there. And the Edcora vineyard that we're talking about tonight is the largest of the two vineyards that we have. This is all Cabernet. The owners purchased this land in 2012 from Dr. Jan Krupp, who was the infamous developer of Stagecoach Vineyard. And since then he has developed this into, our owner has developed this into a certified organic vineyard, 100% all organic farming. And since then we've been making, stellar wines, all scoring at least 90 points and above. And these two Edcora wines, 100 points back to back. The 2015, just as way of introduction, was the inaugural vintage of our Edcora. And to get 100 points straight off the bat is just unheard of. And then to come back at it again with the 2016, another 100 points. Again, consistent. So
double whammy. That's phenomenal.
Yep. And we've got other exciting things. I know, this whole COVID thing, we're going on nearly a year. It's just been, for most people, a time of, slowing down and, a lot of uncertainties. And I have to say that our little team here, quite proud of all of us. We've been expanding. We've hired a new winemaker, Philip Titus. So we've got rock star status now as far as the production. I know, it's so exciting. But, going back a little bit too, historically when Eric Jan first purchased Acumen, he had Denny Malbec, who was, part of the Latour family and had made wines with them. So, to have his really bringing us along and starting out the winemaking philosophy, going back to, some of the old Napa wines of the 60s and 70s and that old world style almost, just really extracting the fruit that's grown in the vineyard and developing the wine, letting the grapes speak for themselves. So that's what these wines are all about here. So we're excited that we have an actual Denny Malbec wine too with the 2015.
Yeah, that's great. Danny was an amazing man, passed away way too early. It's kind of a tribute to him, just how good this wine is. He's just an amazing French winemaker who came over here just based on his passion for wine. I will say one thing too, just for everyone that doesn't know where Atlas Peak is. So if you go down, if you drive right into Napa and you're going down Highway 29, we're almost in Napa. Look to your right, look up on the Vaca Mountains, not the Mayacamas, which are on the west side. You're looking on due east from kind of as you're cruising by Napa. You look due east right there before you take the turn off first to get to the Acumen tasting room, of course, but Actually, it is in the mountains behind that, and it is a high elevation appellation. And one of the great things is why you brought up, the original vineyard up there. It's really about the stones up there. It's about rocky soils, and it's about higher appellation, one of those higher appellations of Napa Valley. So elevation does make a big difference. So it's cooler during the day than it would be down the valley floor, but it's warmer at night because heat rises like that. And it's a very protected area because of all these big mountain parts of it that kind of protect that air from getting out too. Like, so it gets trapped in there. And so it gets a little bit of extra hang time, in the afternoons. So it's a great area, and it's where adventurers go. I mean, I think I asked you about this before, Diana. How long does it take you to get from the tasting room in downtown Napa up to the winery?
Yeah, well, it takes a good 20 minutes. And
Yeah.
I like to describe that drive. It's not very many miles, but when you first leave and take a right out of the tasting room and you start to venture down Silverado Trail after you take that left, and then you take the right onto Soda Canyon Road, it's like literally going from Whoville up to the Grinch's place, because there's guardrails and it's twisty, windy, and you're looking straight down. But, and you make a good point, Chris, too, about the rocky soils that we have up there. And that's where the Edcora Vineyard gets its name. It's from the rust that comes off that andesite rock, and the soil is red. You would not want to wear your new, white Adidas kicks up there, because they
Don't
would.
wear white pants up there and sit down, you guys.
Oh gosh, no. No, that is just, you will come out stained. So, and I love what you say about the elevation up there. I actually grew up on Spring Mountain. My family has Schweiger Vineyards, and my dad always talks about the inversion layer, and that's what allows that longer hang time, and that those grapes, they get that extra skin. And so as a result, that's where that real hardiness of that mountain fruit quality in the grapes comes from, is that extra skin to juice ratio, really.
Exactly. So the clusters are more content, like they're very complex, but they're tighter, kind of spaced. And really, you're right. Fruit to juice ratio, or fruit to skin ratio, is one of those things where you're remember, when you take a Cabernet grape and you split it in half and you squeeze it on some white paper, it's going to come out clear. So where does it get the color? It's from the skins, and it's from that concentration. It's also the tannins that really come out of the skins primarily, and that give you that big grip to it. But in this case, I feel like you always are able to retain the minerality of this wine too, and that's why I think it's just got that personality. And it's kind of funny because I was looking at Phillip's thing too, and it's kind of it says signature. These are his signature, like kinds of chocolates that he makes. This is a signature style of the Acumen brand too. And what I really like about it too is it's called Peak, and that really kind of sets it apart from the others. It's up there. It's not down on the valley floor. It really has its own personality.
Chris, can you hold that up one more time? Because I really like talk about their label. I mean, you guys have such a classic design on your label. It's got beautiful table presence. You're rivaling, the big dogs, the Harlans, and the Colgans and stuff out there. And I think it's just, it's phenomenal, and it's so just subtle and beautiful, without, sometimes wine labels can get like crazy, and, you don't have to, what's in the bottle speaks for itself, but it's such a, classic thing. You look at it, you're like, that's Acumen.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And we have two tiers within the brand. So there's the round label tier, which is the mountainside, that's how Phillip over here, our chocolatier, that's how he discovered, not to be confused with our winemaker, Phillip. I've been doing that all week. But we've got the mountainside tier that we'll find out, in some of the restaurants, Fleming's, and other places where we have national account placements. But that Peak tier is reserved exclusively for our tasting room, wine club, and some of the more exclusive high-end restaurants, 5-star Michelin type of places. So, and we've got within that, we've got the Peak Cabernet, the Peak Edcora, which is one of the 2 single vineyards, and the Atlas. So tonight we're focusing on the Edcora, obviously. I mean, we're almost to Valentine's Day. So, that's why we had Phillip create these customized chocolate to go with our customized wine and the 100-point bonbons.
And as you can see, love is in the air behind Diana there.
Tasting room did not work out, or is it this way?
Yep, you got it.
The internet was flawed because we've had nasty weather out here and a tower went down. So hey, I get to be at home by this. And but back to that tasting room, I'm so excited too. We can talk more about it later. Is our new
excellent
tasting room.
All right, so we were just talking about these delicious 100-point wines. We're on the 2015 Ed Cora. And Chris, I had a question for you, since you're definitely more knowledgeable in all of the individual vineyards. What are some of the signature flavor profiles for Cabernets coming out of the Atlas Peak Ed Cora area?
They have a lot of very concentrated fruit flavors. I think in this 2015, one that really stood out to me was the blueberry kind of notes on this. But there's a lot of red fruit in there too. But it's very concentrated, and it's almost like that wild berry kind of component that you kind of almost have to be in the wild to get it. It's like when you walk by that blackberry bush that you just happen to fall upon in the creek bed, and you're hungry and you just go, oh my God, that's amazing. It's very different than the kind of blackberries that you purchase at the market, and I really feel that has a strength there. There's also a savory characteristic to this area. It's that kind of a wilder, kind of sage-like characteristic that I often get, and the minerality of the wines that, we talk a lot about minerality with Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and things like that, but it's because they're in rockier kinds of soils in some cases, sometimes sandier soils, but in this case, it's definitely all about the rocks. And there are a lot of rocks up on that mountainside, and this is the Vaca Mountains, as we were just talking about. And what's really interesting about this is the highest point on the property, is it not, Diana?
Yeah, no, it is. We're right in the foothills, so we're right below the weather vane. It's at the top of Atlas Peak, so it's at about 1360.
Wow.
And yeah, it's right up there. And what you had to say too about the rocks, I have to say, when I started with Acumen almost 2 years ago, our first meeting with the owners, he went around the table and asked, what does everybody need? And when the vineyard manager said he needed a couple of D9s just to break apart these rocks, because as we're developing and expanding our acreage for planting, we've had to beat up a lot of these boulders. It's almost like our own rock quarry. And it is super rocky up there, but that's really great for the drainage too, Chris. We were talking about the inversion layer and how the growing cycle and how these grapes can hang out a little bit longer and for ripening. Right. The drainage that we have up there too. We actually have with our irrigation system, and my dad does the same thing too. We've got 2 irrigation lines out there just to, for the baby plants, fertigation process. But for the more mature vines, we can actually rely on a lot of our rainfall that we have up there too. And we have excellent drainage too as a result of the rockier soil that's up there.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to talk about too is how air does flow up there. I mean, some of these parts are a little protected by the big rocks and everything, but airflow is very strong up there because of the fact that the air from here in Sonoma County, where I'm based, and it flows through Carneros and it goes up. It's trying to get up and over that mountain to go into the middle of California. And so it's a big flow. And so for that reason, it has that natural acidity too. And I really love the vibrancy in this opening wine here. This is a 15, and it tastes like it was just bottled yesterday. I mean, it's so vibrant and wonderful and has that great tenacity to it too, but it's got that like little rustic touch of those spices, those rustic spices, but then it's got so much fruit over here and complexity. It's a true wonder. And it's why I was so happy when you brought Phillip on that we get to have chocolate with this. Yes.
I'm so excited. Well, let's introduce Phillip Ashley here. He's kind of been sitting quietly up in his corner of the Zoom. Phillip, welcome. I know you're joining us tonight from Memphis. So thank you so much for being here and for making these incredible chocolates. Can you tell us maybe a little bit about you and what inspired you to become a chocolatier?
Yeah, sure. So Phillip Ashley Rix, typically go by Phillip Ashley. I say that's my stage name. But so no, here in Memphis, Tennessee, Chris is showing off some of our chocolates. That's the signature box right there. Grew up in Memphis, actually went off to school. So I actually studied chemistry and was planning to go, great pairing, planning to go to medical school, ended up going into the business world for 13 years actually. But literally woke up, and I've lived a lot of different places, living in Baltimore, woke up 2007, 3 o'clock in the morning and said, you know what, I'm going to be a chocolatier for the rest of my life. And I'm going to make chocolate for a living. And so there was a switch that just flipped with that kind of notion, and became obsessed with it. Spent 3-4 years in what I say like a self-immersion, self-teaching, I guess, form or format, and so learn everything I could about chocolate. I always say I learned the rules so I could break them, and so, you know, studied everything about how people taste, you know, how to manipulate flavor ultimately. So read everything about spices, herbs, wines, spirits, proteins, etc. All because ultimately I said I want to be able to recreate that stick of gum. If you're familiar with the movie Willy Wonka, the roast beef, the potatoes, and the blueberry pie. And I was like, well, as long as we don't have to squeeze you at the end or juice you at the end, and you know, we've been a success. But honestly, you know, growing up, my grandmother was a great cook, avid gardener, both vegetation and both flowers. So she grew a lot of her own food, and as well was a big rose garden, won a bunch of awards for her roses and stuff. And so anyway, she taught me how to cook at 5, mainly because I was attracted to the gas stove. And she was like, well, you're not going to burn the house down, so you're going to learn how to use that. So the breadcrumbs led all the way back there, which helps us, you know, so between my imagination, the chemistry background, the cooking experience that I've had, you know, allowed me to now develop chocolates, you know, that ultimately end up being this Ecora morsel bonbon. And so, you know, but we do chocolates, as Chris was showing, with blue cheese in them. We have barbecue chocolates.
That's
you know, I've done dinners at a lot of different places, and you know, put sea urchin or created sea urchin and uni caramel bonbons, all kinds of stuff. And so it's just kind of this mad scientist and dreaming up, you know, how do I change one thing into something else and make it taste great, and also really thinking about pairing it with wines, and particularly wines that have, you know, such complex nuance and things like that, like this peak here, that really complement the chocolate. They both play well together, and celebrate each other is really kind of the goal of doing something like a chocolate. And even the color, if Chris will show the box one more time of the Ecora chocolate.
Oh, it's such a beautiful ruby red.
So,
it's absolutely stunning.
We had the paint done specifically to kind of mimic the wine, mimic the soil, that red diamond, if you will. And so it's a really cool color. And red just happens to be my favorite color, but this particular red is now my favorite. And so.
And Chris just happens to have a sweater that matches the chocolates perfectly. And that's amazing.
He's a pro.
Nothing gets past this one.
Right. And the chocolate itself is a blend of couvertures, dark couvertures that we create a 71%. And then bring it down some. And so that's a blend of several couvertures that we make and then put it together. So a unique signature, as Chris said, chocolate. So we don't use it in any other. I was just like, hey, let's create something special for this that's pretty balanced, not super bitter, not, you know, that it would again celebrate the wine. And then we make a red berry, because I tasted the wine and I was like, you know, I got a lot of the notes that Chris was talking about, and also a little, to me, a bit of strawberry and that sort of thing. And so we made a really cool red berry molasses, and then added the wine and the dark chocolate. So
wow, just there's a lot going on inside.
There's a lot going on in these little bonbons, and they
what I really liked too was the fact that I realized, Diana, when you were talking about when the family, the Acumens, really kind of went out and they bought this piece of property, the family did, was the same year that Phillip started his business. I mean, I mean, was this meant to be, guys?
Simpatico.
Well,
But yes,
I
2012.
don't know the way that we came together too, Philip. I mean, with you being there in Memphis and
yeah,
posting something about our mountainside cab
yeah,
and
yeah.
with a piece of pizza.
Yeah, slice. It was a really nice slice of pizza, though, by the way, from a friend's restaurant down the street. So, and I was like, yeah, this is really good. And I was just in a red wine mood. It was lunchtime and it was the middle of the day and we'd been working a lot. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to have a glass of wine. And I just picked that bottle up not too long ago. And I was like, oh, it's time to, let's go. And so
I had no idea how important that slice of pie was going to be.
Right. And honestly, I had my assistant just take a quick video of me pouring it, just having some fun, showing in the middle of the day, enjoying a glass of wine, and it turned into this. So
well, you heard it here. I mean, now you know that, posting your food, online actually has benefits. It's not worthless. Don't let your parents tell you otherwise.
Right.
Now, I have a question though. Okay, so Acumen found you. We've got the same anniversary, 10 years coming up next year.
Yeah.
But now, how did Miss Oprah Winfrey find you and give you, her
Oprah's favorite things 2020.
Yeah.
You have got to get your hands on these. They're amazing.
Yeah, that's been an awesome opportunity, honor, and a pleasure. And so honestly, we started, when the whole pandemic began and they had to stay at home, we started doing these virtual tastings on Zoom. And just through that, they saw us doing them because, we started with, I think the first few, there were maybe 15, 20 people. We did 16 weeks in a row. And by the end of that, thanks. And even the shape of our chocolates is unique to us.
Yeah, it's very unique.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's kind of like that off center square. So I love it. And anyway, just through the tasting, she, her people at Oak Magazine found us, and one thing led to another, and then one day they call us and tell us, hey, guess what? And November 6th, we were announced as one of her favorite things.
So that's pretty recent.
That's so remarkable. Congratulations.
Holiday. So we're still rolling from there.
How mind-blowing was that to get that announcement, being like, we were just selected for Oprah's favorite things? I mean, that's
right. Well, the cool thing about it was, I was telling one of my friends, like, man, when I really wanted to, I've been wanting this since 2012, and then I realized, like, in 2012 that we were nowhere close to being ready for that, and it's still another level. Even now, and it's just one of those things where we were prepared, but at the same time, there's you could never imagine just how much excitement and just her reach. Obviously you hear about it and you see it, but until you kind of experience it's just one of those wild things. But yeah.
I remember when she discovered the English muffins at Model Bakery.
Yeah.
And it affected me firsthand because you couldn't get any English muffins.
Right. Like, I want my English muffins.
I was like, dang it, Oprah, why'd you have to go and do that?
Right. And so, but the thing I like most, I just truly enjoy creating, taking chocolates into another realm and going as far left field as we can and taking you on a journey. And that's why we say every chocolate should tell a story, because, this is my way to narrate, my experiences with people, places, things, kind of really put my imagination on paper, if you will. I tell people I spend a lot of time daydreaming about chocolate and figuring out, what can we create that'll really, wow the likes of, from the everyday person, and even people. We have a lot of folks that say, what, I don't normally go in for chocolate, but I really enjoy your varietal of chocolate, and then get all the way to the folks like Chris who have tasted it all and, and that kind of thing. So that's really our goal, is to just create, fun, but also really serious pieces of edible art. So,
and that they absolutely are. What are some of your all-time favorite creations you've made so far?
Right. Quite a few. I mean, one of the things about it, and I always say, is I've yet to make my favorite, but Chris is showing you essentially our top 24, our 24 signature chocolates. These are the ones that we make all the time. And that blue piece you see on his
right here,
right there. That one's called Savoy. That's our most popular flavor. That is a French blue cheese chocolate. And so Just
incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible.
just won a Good Food Awards for that. The one right beside it that's green, that's actually the very first piece that I made when I started this journey, and it was like, okay, I've mastered formulation and all that kind of stuff, and let's start making it. That's a sweet potato chocolate named Mama Jean after my grandmother. And so, you know, she lived till she was 101. Her brother, they passed 2 months from each other. He was 103, and I was like, man, I got to eat more sweet potato. But
yeah, seriously.
But the sweet potato chocolate is made in her honor. And just after that, you know, we again, as you're seeing, you know, Grand Marnier and orange blossom honey to key lime pie to coconut, pineapple, Meyer lemon. There's a really cool one that we do that is a Thai curried cashew.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, we do, and that's the thing, is we really want to excite the palate, give you a reason to experience chocolate in new ways, and particularly ways that you don't expect. So yeah, so I appreciate
I love it. You know,
oh my gosh, so much fun.
I can't taste wine with my 16 and 18-year-old, but I'll tell you what, when we had that box of chocolates, being able to take my kids through that sensory evaluation of chocolates, a box of chocolates, and you know, we're in the same bubble, but we each took a bite of each other's chocolate just to kind of go around the room and be able to taste it. But you know, I said to my kids, I said, man, I go, his chocolate's way above what I'm about to say, but you're like the Jelly Belly of the chocolatiers in the world.
Absolutely. So much endless variety and fun.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, is it's fun. This is a fun factor. And I think when we talk about Valentine's Day or any time of the day with our great loved ones, and I love the heart new shape one that you've got for Valentine's Day shipments, you guys, everyone out there. This is the new box you just got that we got to see before.
Stunning.
No one has seen this except
breaking news right here.
First people to see it. We haven't posted it or anything. Yeah, so this is the box. So,
it's so pretty.
The box is worth like keeping for a long time.
Yeah, I love the abstract about it. It's just
where did
rocking.
your design for that come from?
This artwork is from a friend of mine, Jamon Bullock, who goes by Live Paint. And so he's on Instagram and everything. But I called him up. It was probably like 2 o'clock in the morning. I said, hey, I for a long time resisted doing a heart box. And I said, you know what? I want to do a heart box this year. And I immediately thought of my friend. I was like, you know, I want to really create something funky and, you know, abstract. I'm a big art fan and collector, and I particularly love abstract. And I was like, man, show me some of your paintings. Let me take a look. And so I picked this one because it just really spoke to me, and particularly with what we're doing with the collection. And there'll be a write-up that connects the art to the chocolate to what's in each piece. And so I was like, I sent this to my packaging folks. I was like, hey, turn this into a heart box, make it sexy, make it funky. And so you got the inscription.
Oh, that's cool.
And then that says every chocolate should tell a story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love your messaging and your style and your presentation. It's special, and you're producing such a, you know, I would say almost an not quite exclusive, but kind of, you know, product that, you know, it's beautiful. You nailed it, you know, everything and the quality. Oh my gosh, so good. We do have some questions coming in. One question for Phillip. What was your most difficult obstacle in your chocolate career?
Oh, well, I'll tell you in the very beginning, and there's always a new challenge, but early on, one of the things, particularly the first few years, was to overcome is really explaining to people, well, this is why you pay $5 for a blue cheese chocolate, you know, kind of. So, by the way, it's blue cheese and it's $5, but no.
And it's $5. It's a $5 milkshake.
Right. This big.
Exactly. So just honestly persevering in an industry, one that, you know, that was super traditional at the time, and saying, you know what, I really want to create some chocolates that no one's doing and breaking these rules. And then two, after that, just continuing to create and innovate. You know, the thing that I spend the most time doing outside of kind of all the business stuff is really constantly trying to outdo or kind of keep that level of creation and creativity up. And and that's the most fun part, is really having that imagination and saying, well, and then getting opportunities to do something with a wine like the Ecor, the Peak, and working with Acumen. So that also helps continue the juice, keep the juices flowing. So honestly, I think the biggest challenge is just, being able to, make it through tough times and, scaling and all of that. So there's a number, there's, like I said, and I played sports, so there's always just a new challenge, and you're just constantly trying to, train and meet that challenge and exceed. So.
Well, cheers to you. I mean, that's so inspirational. So I am moving on to the 2016, because I know.
Well, wait. I gotta say one thing. I took a bite of the chocolate.
Oh yeah,
the design chocolate, and with the 15, and the 15 is a brilliant wine, just as it is. But the first thing about it is the luxurious feeling. Like the outside is very hard. Right. Just like the rocks of the mountain are. Mm-hmm. And then you get in there, and it's got a softness in the side, inside, and it's got this texture that's so luxurious. And that is really, to me, is the trademark of Acumen wines. It's like, it's velvet. They could be big beasts, but they're not. Inside, they've got these hearts and souls, each one of these wines. And this, and the texture, and that red fruit, like you said, Phillip, how well it pairs with this wine is just absolute true genius.
Awesome. Thank you.
Some are saying the savory number 9 are my favorites so far. Double high fives.
Awesome.
And Stan is saying, well, decadence does have its price. Well, cheers to that. Cheers. Absolutely. Cheers. To keep us on track here, though, any final tidbits on the 15 before we jump into the 16?
Just deliciousness. I mean,
insane. It
is what it is. 15 vintage, just so you guys know, very concentrated vintage overall. The one thing that we have as far as nature goes, it was a drought year. I mean, it was the worst drought year we've had in a long time. I mean, so much so that it was about half the production of a regular vintage. And I think if Phillip Titus was on here with us, he would tell us a lot about it, because remember, Phillip also has been making the Chocolatier wines right down the hill. As the crow flies. We're talking about maybe 3 or 4 miles, maybe, if even that. It's just like you could technically drive that way, but you're not going to on that ridge. But the fact is that it was a challenging year for yields. It wasn't for the production of it, and why winemakers actually had time to go out and pick the parts that they wanted to, because they didn't have much incoming anyways. This really shows in this wine. I think there's layers of flavors. When I first opened this wine earlier today, when we did our little run through, and it was tasting beautiful, and now it's even expanded.
Oh, it just keeps developing, and wine. It's truly phenomenal. Fun fact, it's on the internet, so it must be true. Wine and dark chocolate reduce cholesterol. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so that's something for us to Google later.
Let me also say, before we get into the 16 vintage, which is awesome, the other thing that we need to be talking about here is aphrodisiac things, because we're getting close to Valentine's Day, and chocolate is indeed an aphrodisiac. Now, an interesting thing, cheese is not an aphrodisiac, believe it or not.
Wow.
But there are certain things that are, and there are certain things that are. Chocolate, of course, is. So we are on the right track, and you guys need to be listening very closely to everything that you say here.
Yeah. And I want to let our
tasting room that we won't be doing cheese platters then. We'll only be doing
not that one day, but do chocolate platters instead.
Exactly. Chocolate platters are the way to go. And to our viewers who are watching, you can buy this delicious tasting pack and order the chocolates on Acumen Wine's website. So just go over to their site, look on the wines, click the CellarPass TV option, and all the information is there. You can also find the links right on CellarPass.com. Just search CellarPass TV. You'll find all the episodes there and all the links to buy these delicious wines and Phillip's amazing chocolates. And from what I understand, you need to order by February 4th, or you won't have it in time for Valentine's Day. So unless you want some cut rate chocolate from your local market and God knows what's from the wine shelf, I suggest you order now.
Well, and to Stan's point that you do have to pay for decadence, we're actually giving some Valentine's Day promotional prices on these 2 wines to
Great.
get them out there, where it's a newer release for the 16 Ed Cora. So you can actually pick up these 2 bottles of wine that are normally $175 each. For only $200, you get the 15 Ed Cora and the 16 Ed Cora, and a complimentary box of chocolates sent directly from Phillip Ashley.
That's a hell of a great deal.
Don't let that deal pass up, because it's not something that ever happens.
$200, and it's only $35 shipping. So,
so if you really want to wow your sweetie, do this one.
And remember, you guys, we've all become chefs at home because we've had nothing but time.
I had a little chefing accident the other day.
We do have these weird abilities now to do things that we didn't do, like where we'd always take someone out for dinner. Maybe this is the way to do it. Get these in there and have it be part of the dinner making, and so that's really a fun fact, and really something. And the other thing is, for people in the Bay Area, I'm glad to say that we had the restraints lowered just recently, and I got to go pick up these great bottles the other day in Napa at the tasting room, and Stan actually saw me there and gave me the bottles, and I was super happy just to go in there. It's such a beautiful, beautiful place right downtown in Napa. So you can do your tasting certain places, or just start there, or whatever. But you can also
grab a bite to eat up the street. It's such a great location.
Technically go into Napa and pick up your orders too. So, this is the great thing, is it gives you a lot of opportunities here.
Well, we're presenting more opportunities too next month. And yes, we have been lifted, and we can do outside tasting, just in time for this atmospheric river, but we're open.
Bring your umbrella.
Stan was doing tastings yesterday, but once we're open to the inside too, Chris, you got to see our new facility and our new experience that we're going to be offering guests with our Peak Easy room. So a little play off Peak Easy, and off, playing off the name Peak, which we partnered with one of the largest landholders in Epernay, Champagne region, with Michelle Gonnet. So we'll have
love their sparkling.
So again, mirror imaging the quality with what we're doing here with Phillip Ashley. We've selected another, very high-end partner to actually work inside what was our gallery, Phillip. So we do have a art gallery there too. So I'm looking.
I think you should hang the chocolates in a frame.
Right.
I'm eyeballing those boxes for our gallery, because those
absolutely
are right on in. So we've got more partnerships that we can work on together here. So yes,
and got some good chats coming in. Are there any plans for a specific future Acumen vintage for pairing with Phillip Ashley chocolates?
They're all pairable.
They're all of them.
I mean,
Sauv
to be
Blanc
really
would go
honest,
smashing with that key lime.
The key lime and their Sauvignon Blanc, I need to taste that.
Off the charts.
I have to taste that. This is like a no-brainer that has to happen. There's no way I'm going to make it maybe even through the month without doing that.
And I'll say too, one of the things that I really focus on, and our goal is to really create chocolates that do pair really well with, a variety of wines, and particularly, again, a maker like Acumen. They have such fantastic wines that, their catalog, you can, like he just said, pick one and go with. And so one of the coolest things you can do with our website, you can build your own box. So, hey, we're having a bottle of Peak today. Let's pick chocolates. And it gives a description. It even has a cool exploded view of what, so you see the chocolate hole, and then you scroll over it, and it gives you an exploded view of what's in the chocolate. So you can truly curate your own box to go with the wine that Acumen makes. And so you have Peak today, Sauvignon Blanc, Mountainside, whatever you're going with that day, and put the chocolates together. And so the wines and the wine and the chocolates that we make, our chocolates are designed to go with, really fine wines like that. And, it just makes it more fun. And so you can, split them up and, compare different, this glass and that glass bottle, all that kind of stuff. So you can really have a fun time with it. But each chocolate really does kind of exhibit different properties. And again, no two people taste the same thing at the same time. So that makes it even more fun. So.
Well, Chris, we're going to have to get you a sample of our new rosé, because working with the other Phillip, our winemaker, we actually are coming out with in April a brand new rosé from Acumen, and we're putting it in this nice big,
so excited,
sexy bottle. I'm so excited about this.
I am a rosé fan too, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Okay, rosé all day with Phillip Ashley chocolate.
I love this idea.
I'm for it, all for it.
Yeah.
I can't wait. And we need to reconvene the troops here and be like, yeah, let's do some different tastings with that rosé.
We have another show on April Fool's Day, Fools in Love, featuring our rosé. So
okay.
Could be. Absolutely.
Might be fun and might be interesting. I'm in.
Okay.
I dig it. I totally dig it. All right. Well, now we know what we're going to do for April Fool's Day.
Yes.
I think it's fantastic.
I'm big on the pink.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All things pink.
Well, I love Phillip's terminology here too, where he used peaking and explosions. Like, so once again, Valentine's Day is coming up, you guys. Don't forget this. And how we need these wines and that.
And for those who may not have a sweetie, I want to point out that these are single vineyard wines. So they are perfect standalones just in case.
Self-love. You can't love anyone.
Self-love, self-care.
Yes.
You know, can never care too much.
Am I talking on Awareness Day? Am I talking on your behalf where you came up with this idea to start a chocolate company, and all of a sudden a lot of people fell in love with you? Is that true? Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, and just again, stepping out there, doing something daring, doing something different. You know, it's again, like I said, it became an obsession. That switch flipped, and it was just, I mean, I was just pressing forward. And even again, being self-taught in an industry like this, and my goal was to always be able to create some of the best chocolates out there, period. And so, you know, just really seeking and pushing and learning, and then being able to hang around. I've spent a lot of time talking to, you know, winemakers and folks like Chris and distillers and chefs and cheesemongers and all these different things that and so again, to be able to be this encyclopedia of flavor. And so that's what we are. And then you have someone like Diana call you and say, hey, this is a wine that we want you to take a look at and make a chocolate for. You know, we're ready for that kind of thing. So, which is, and it's not an easy task, because it's, you know, this is a wine that's super serious, but it's really fun to drink. So,
thank you so much for working with us too.
Yeah,
Phillip, you know, I hope you have the 16 in your glass.
I do. Well, let me
somewhere it's over there. Maybe the other side.
Yeah, I am 16 it up now.
So what dish from one of your favorite restaurants in Memphis would you want to pair this glass with?
That's a good question.
Okay, so I have some favorite restaurants.
Really good question.
Give us a tour of Memphis food-wise and what we should do with people.
I'll start with kind of our staple. You have barbecue. Memphis is very well known for barbecue, and you know, so from the beauty, you know, we got the barbecue shop to man, so many Payne's to Central. I mean, there are a lot of barbecue. Rendezvous, which I think a lot of people will know that are not necessarily from Memphis. And so that alone, you know, whether it's brisket or pulled pork is typically what you'll get from here.
So are you a brisket or a pulled pork guy?
Actually, both. You know, I typically go in for both. Yeah. So some of my favorite restaurants, the Beauty Shop is one from my friend Chef Karen, and she's a legend. You know, she's been a chef in New York for years, and she came here. Now she also has places in New Orleans, but one of her several places is called the Beauty Shop, and it's in Cooper Young. And I mean, you know, their brunch is insane, and her trying to think, and her dishes change, but I mean, I can't even think. She's got so many different things.
So many great things. It's hard to choose.
Erling Jensen's is another. He has this bison that this would go insane.
Oh, now you're talking.
There we go.
Mountain.
Yes,
mountains and the bison and all this kind of stuff going together.
So he has a bison dish that is amazing, and it would go awesome with this. And Erling is another, longtime legend here. And then you have some of my friends, Andy and Michael, that have a restaurant called Bishop, which they have, so there's actually a burger that they have. It's more of a French brasserie. And so one of the burgers that they have it would go perfect with this, because it's not like your average burger, and it's set in this demi-glace and all this, they serve it with a knife in it. So it's one of those you cut and kind of savor. There you go.
It's a fancy burger.
It's a fancy burger. So,
so what's your favorite go-to lunch spot?
Actually, one of my favorite places, and whether it's lunch, I went to lunch there a couple of days ago, is Las Tortugas. It is a Mexican restaurant, but it's authentic. And in Pepe, and then my friend Jonathan, he is from Mexico City, but they do everything fresh. They shop they go directly to the farms, and they make a crazy, hey, let me try hibiscus tea the other day that they make straight from these special hibiscus, and they brew it, and it's amazing. But had a king crab torta, which was and their elote. And so everything is everything is fresh, made right there. They don't use processed anything. Every vegetable is organic. It is ridiculous. And it's truly authentic dishes from his home. So that's probably as you can tell, my favorite lunch spot. So
I think that's a good pairing with your rosé, especially.
Yeah, that sounds.
I could see doing the rosé and the little takeout there. That could make me feel real good.
Maybe we can get him on the April show and we can do the recipe.
Jonathan is dope.
Oh, that'd be so much fun.
Right.
All right, Phillip, you've been tasked.
Shout out real quick to one person that's always on the show with us, Chili Davis. I know you're listening to us. The great baseball player who called us up when we were just kind of going through the things before that. And hey, he's the Mets batting coach right now with such a great San Francisco Giants. That man loves food. He loves Acumen wines, and he talks exactly like Phillip does about food and wine together. So, I mean, you've got some great fans, Diana. I mean, you really do. And this all makes sense why we all love this wine and this brand. It's because of how it can pair so well with all these kinds of things that we're talking about.
And I've cultivated some good friends that are out there actually chiming in out there too. But that's what this is all about. Wine brings friends together, chocolate brings friends together, baseball. So, and we're going to be talking about one of our other wine club members for one of our other upcoming shows too. This really great man I met in the tasting room, so inspirational. And that's what he does. And his name of his company is called Acumen. And if we look at, the definition of what Acumen is too, it's all about, things like being savvy, brightness, energetic. It's all about business principles. And he wrote this book called Sharpen,
which is a fabulous, fabulous read. I mean,
I've been reading it too.
Devouring this one.
I'm going to be super ready for this one. But I think that the other part too, that I like the term that really stands out to me, depth of perception. Depth of perception. And it's everything. When I taste this chocolate, I have a depth of perception. It's not just a one trick pony. There's so much stuff going on in your mouth. And the same thing is going on in this 2016 that we should talk about. So to me, this is an amazing wine just because it really fits exactly what the 2016 vintage was. It was showy. Oh man, it gave you everything you wanted. It wasn't a drought. We did have a problem with drought, but the yields were fine. And there was a lot of it. And the fact is, this one is just so giving right off the bat. It is very, elegant, sophisticated, but it has that kind of nice flow to it that just shows you it's from the mountains. And it's not 100% Cab. It's got a little bit of Petit Verdot and just a teeny bit of Cabernet Franc in it. And that's that backbone in there that's like so good. So it's not only a great wine to drink now, and I've had this bottle open for a few hours now, but it's tasting extremely well. And I didn't even decant it. So let's just go there. Like, I didn't need to decant this. I just I just popped the top off. And if you're a great chef at home, and all of us are now because of this past year, the one thing to do is to pop the bottle, just pop the bottle. And before you're going to serve the food later, pour yourself some. Come on, pour yourself some, taste it. And then see what happens when you actually serve your dinner later. You know what? You're a genius just for doing that. And this is the kind of thing that we really get out of this wine. It's something with that depth and this focus. And I think that this is all about this vineyard, and it's about a high elevation vineyard. If you ask me really to pick my favorite, appellations and things like that of Napa Valley, a lot of the wineries and the sites are going to be the high elevation ones. They're very, very different than the valley floor. They're not the same. There's these characteristics that fit into each one of them. It could be Mount Veeder, it could be your parents' place up on Spring Mountain, who I learned a lot from too. Doing so many great things up at Spring Mountain. But this Atlas Peak, I still think, is an unsung, like, genius one where all of us somms and writers get it. But sometimes, it takes these kinds of wines for people to understand, wow, that's an amazing area. I'd like to actually kind of drive up there to see why it's so cool.
Well, and then to kind of tie it all back in together too, Chris, back what I learned actually from working with my dad is the early pioneers, when they first came here from Europe, they planted their vineyards up in the mountains. And, that old stagecoach where it got its name, I mean, back, before Prohibition and all that, that is where vineyards were planted up there too. And then unfortunately there was some disease that crept in and it just couldn't be contained. But I mean, even, as we went through clearing some of our property, we found hand split redwood grape stakes spaced a meter by a meter. They used the valley floor for other, types of, cattle ranching and things like that.
Right.
But, that's really where some of the best wines start, is up in the mountains up there.
And that's the old school farming ways, the whole village, wraps around itself. So that's why, when you go to France and Italy and Germany, you're finding these villages that are completely kind of self-supporting. You have your dairy and your meat farmers on the valley floors, and your vineyards are terraced up, and they're just maximizing their terroir.
We would love to entertain too. I mean, we've been talking a lot about our tasting room on First Street, but we would love to entertain and take some drives up there to the top of the mountain and run around in, one of our SUVs and take you out into the higher peaks of some of the treacherous areas. I can take a 4-wheel drive back in there. It's super fun hiking around in there and actually drinking Ed Cora in the middle of the Ed Cora vineyard, and then our other single vineyard, Atlas, and drinking that in the Atlas vineyard too.
Oh my gosh, sounds
I think we need to do that. I think we need to get Phillip out here, and we need to do it and actually have chocolate out there too.
There we go.
I'm in.
Sounds Chili out here with you. You guys would be 2 peas in a pod, I'm telling.
Maybe throw chili in there. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Chili chocolate.
Chili and chocolate. Chili chocolate.
We can definitely do that.
Chili chocolate.
A baseball chocolate. Chili. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, gang. Well, we are going to need to talk about our upcoming shows we have with Acumen. So as Diana mentioned earlier, we do have 3 more shows with Acumen coming up. And the next one is February 11th, and that is with Drew Hiss, who I know is online watching us tonight. Hi, Drew, the author of Sharpen. So we're very, very excited to dig in. I'm already in love with this book. It's been mind-blowing, and
very
I definitely have plowed through a lot more than I thought I would in just a few short days. So very excited about that. You're also going to be able to taste the 2017 Ed Cora next week, or on the 11th. So it's almost next week, but we're getting there. And so check this out, CellarPass TV on CellarPass.com to check the lineup there and see the links to where you can buy it. Then we have March 4th, opening day, and we're going to be cooking with chili. So you definitely don't want to miss that show. We're going to do a fun sensory experience talking about all things grilling spices and baseball. It's going to be amazing. And then as you heard it here tonight, April 1st, we're back. And I think it's going to be one heck of a surprise show because it looks like we're going to have Phillip Ashley Rix back and doing some fun stuff with rosé and chocolates. And of course, it is the debut of the Acumen Rosé. So we are very, very excited about that.
Yeah. Next month is also actually not only the 2017 Agcora, but it's also the release. It's the official release next month of the 2017. And we might even segue and have a little bit of some Michel Gonnet in there too. So
yeah.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah. I hope so. If you haven't had Michel Gonnet champagne, it's insane. It's absolutely, absolutely insane. It's one of my favorites. Been happy to support them and lucky enough to sample their
But let me just finish off this real quick because don't forget what's coming up first is Valentine's Day, everyone.
Don't forget. We haven't said it enough.
Everything else, just write all those shows down on your calendar, but buy this chocolate and buy these wines because that's what it's all about. I mean, like, these wines are amazing. They're fantastic. That you've got a story to tell behind each one of these bottles now because you just learned a bunch from us about this. And you've got one of the greatest chocolatiers in the world who's going to give you chocolate. And believe me, this is not going to last that long. This is really not going to last that long.
And
but the fact is, it's so good.
And that's actually a good point there, Chris. These are handcrafted artisan chocolates. They're not loaded with preservatives and stuff. This is not your Hershey's bar that you can pick up 6 years later and it's probably going to be okay. Phillip, what is kind of your shelf life? You want to consume these pretty quickly.
Best enjoyed within, we say, 10 to 14 days because we don't use artificial preservatives. You know, and you can refrigerate and they'll last about a month, but we always say let them, but you know, it's chocolate, eat it. So
it's chocolate, eat it.
Right. But
you're not going to find this at a checkout stand.
And that's the other thing. We're not in some mall or anything. And this chocolate you're getting through Acumen. And so, no artificial preservatives, no artificial sweeteners, and additional sweeteners even. So, you know, much like as Chris was mentioning, just letting the grape and do its thing, the fruit do its thing, we just let the chocolate do its thing. And we use a lot of organic ingredients, kosher ingredients, and, you know, spend a lot of time going to, you know, farms. And we even go as far as, you know, verifying the husbandry of the cream. So the husbandry of the cows that the cream comes from.
That is fantastic. And I love it. Well, we are out of time and I'm so sorry because I know we could go on forever. I'm going to sign off with our viewers at home. You guys hang back here for a little overtime. I'll be right back. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We're so excited you were here. If you haven't got the message already, go get these chocolates. You can go to CellarPass.com. Just search CellarPass TV and look for this episode and you'll see the links on where to buy all these delicious wines and chocolates. All right, next week we are celebrating Bainbridge Island for once. And we have Matt Albee from 11 Wines here with 3 very incredible wines. So you'll get to sample a little bit of Washington. Check out the lineup on our site and of course, all of the upcoming episodes. Have a wonderful night. Happy Friday Eve, everybody. Cheers to you.